One of the biggest misunderstandings on the twin flame journey is that there's a belief within the collective, especially with the feminines, that the masculine is the one who is distracted. We oftentimes say that the masculine is distracted by his work, by another relationship, by the 3D world. And because he's focusing on those things, we then believe as feminines that he's avoiding doing the inner work. But what if? I want to ask you this question. What if part of the awakening of this journey is realizing that the feminine is just as distracted? And if you're new here, I want to welcome you. My name is Melissa, and this is the Sacredness Within You. I created this channel to really help support the feminines who are on the path of the twin flame journey, providing you with tools and support and guidance to become the feminine alchemist of your life and to help you come into alignment with the state of inner union, which, as we all know, increases our odds of actually landing 3D union. And today I want to navigate through how the feminine is just as distracted as the masculine. Because we really, really are. But before we dive into that, I just want to gently remind each and every one of you that the purpose of this twin flame journey isn't just about union with another person. And by the way, that's not even the end goal of this connection. This is your path of awakening. This is your path of ascension. It's the path of you allowing the feminine within you to rise and for you to become the feminine that you are meant to be in this lifetime. And we get to do this with another person who is us in who is the same soul as us in another body, right? Which is a perfect way for us to ascend our consciousness in a much more aligned, much faster way than other people do in their spiritual awakening because they don't have that mirror. They don't have that other person poking and prodding them in the ways that we get, right? In order for us to grow. Because the truth of the matter is that the twin flame dynamic is an initiatory path for us, right? As feminines and as the masculines in the connection, we're being initiated to various areas of our life. We're being initiated into setting healthy boundaries with ourselves, with stepping into our abundance, to um, anchoring in safety and sovereignty within us. I mean, the ways that we get initiated are profound. And this connection also activates the awakening of the feminine consciousness, not just within us, not just within our twin flame, but within the collective as well. Because a lot of people forget that we as twin flames have a purpose and a role of shifting the collective consciousness when it comes to things like unconditional love. We're here to anchor those codes back into the planet. We're here to help support the consciousness of the collective and letting go of how we do relationships and activating that divine union and helping clear the pathway for those that aren't even on the twin flame journey to have the potential to have a divine union with another counterpart because sacred union, divine union, whatever you want to call it, just isn't for twin flames. That's the path that we are going to as humanity. And this journey as twin flames, we're here to bring up everything that is unconscious within us, but also too with those people around us and within the collective. And so this dynamic shows us continually where it is that we're also being exposed to where we abandon ourselves, right? Where we are not in our power, where we are playing small, all these areas of ourselves that we've been avoiding for so many years. For some of you, if you're like me, it's been decades of hiding and running and dimming our lights, right? because the twin flame connection didn't come into your life to just give you a romantic partner. It comes here to wake you up because you wouldn't wake up any other way. Because chances are, if you look back on your journey, you could see ways that the universe was trying to poke you and trying to awaken you. But many of us, because we're so deeply connected to our ego, it takes something like this to be able to crack us open in these ways. And part of the awakening that we experience is recognizing the places where we're distracted from our own healing. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So many feminines hold the narrative or the beliefs that union isn't happening because the masculine isn't doing his inner work. He's too distracted. But what if? What if, feminines? What if I told you that it was you that determines when union happens? What comes up in you? Is that resonating with you in your body? Is your ego kicking and screaming? Because the reality is the feminine gets to a certain point in her journey, and then the masculine starts taking the steps to continue moving the connection forward. And if you're not magnetic, receptive, and open to allowing your divine connection, your divine counterpart to come in, you have your masculine guard up, your energy is shut down, there's no way that the masculine can come towards you. And I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, but Melissa, I really want this connection. But where is that wanting coming from? Is it coming from lack? Is it coming from scarcity? Is it coming from separation? Is it coming from this need of, I need somebody to fulfill me? Or is it coming from this desire because of you're wanting to explore and have this like relationship that your soul has always known that you were here for, that you were meant for? The other storyline a lot of the feminines say is he's too focused on the 3D. He's focused on working too much. He's focused on this and that, building his business, buying all this stuff, taking all these trips, whatever your story is, right? But what if? I like to play the what if game a lot. What if I told you that that was part of his role? What if I told you that that was part of his role in your connection? Because by his actions in the 3D, it's triggering your growth in many, many ways. And a lot of times we get caught up in saying he's doing this, when the reality is he's actually doing his job. He's doing the job per se that he has to do within the connection. Because when you think about the masculine energy, it's forward moving energy. It's focused on the 3D. It's focused on creating, structures, creating support, creating things like that, right? That help the feminine flow. Yes, the feminine also creates and bursts things, but in very different ways. And the masculine energy is also about the leadership, about providing, about safety and security. And so the reality is he's doing his role. You're not allowing him to do his role, and based on your conditioning and beliefs, you're still trying to control the connection and control what he does. The other common belief that the feminine holds is he's distracted by another relationship or relationships. And again, what if I told you that those relationships that he was in were not only for his healing and growth, but also too for yours? And what happens if that connection that he was in was the exact thing that was going to catapult your journey forward, his journey forward, and help the two of you dance together in union? And if you're struggling through third-party dynamics, I hear you, I got you. I have an amazing self-paced course called Entangled to help you navigate through all of the stuff that comes up through third-party dynamics and to help you end that within you and within your lineage and a whole host of things. And if that's resonating with you and you're wanting that support, then make sure you click on the link in my description. And the fourth way that I see how this narrative that the feminine has. Remember, what we believe and what we think and what we say is like magic. Our words are so powerful. Is that he's running from the connection. And remember, whatever it is that we see in our masculine is an opportunity for us to sit back and say, where am I doing the same? How am I doing the same thing? Because chances are, feminines, you're probably running from the connection as well. That's part of that third party dynamic, part of that push and the pull that happens within us and within our connection. Is logically we want this connection. Our soul wants this connection, but our body says, this threatens us, right? And sometimes the mind says, either, right? Because the twin flame journey definitely threatens your ego. And your body shuts down and isn't able to receive the masculine. So, as chasers, which a lot of us feminines would identify as, right? As the chaser, you are also the runner because when you're chasing towards your twin flame, it means that you are running away from yourself. And so it's an opportunity for you to reflect back and say, where am I running from the connection? Where am I running from myself? And when you ask these questions and you sit with yourself, they will eventually surface and show you. Because these are some of the truths that feminines need to be able to hear. And there's truth to all these things, right? But the thing is we have to let go of needing the masculine to journey in a way that makes you, the feminine, feel comfortable. Because it's you trying to create that comfort through what it is that he is doing or he isn't doing. It's a control that is actually preventing you from experiencing the growth that you need to experience. So the deeper question I want to ask you, feminines, is where are you distracted from yourself? So let's talk about the ways that the feminine is distracted because they're not as obvious when we're doing it, right? Like it's easier to see things in the outside of our reality versus the inside, right? And the very first distractions happens right away in the journey when you start realizing that you're on the twin flame path is obsession, the obsession about the masculine. And if you're still in this phase, it's okay. If you're still distracted by what is he doing, by constantly checking his social media, constantly checking every message that you've had and decoded. Did you say the right thing or did you not say the right thing? You know, you're looking at tarot readings about him every day, about the connection every day. And by the way, a lot of tarot readers have a hard time reading twin flame connections. And when they say the collective of the twin flame collective, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're talking about every single person who is on the twin flame journey. Because some of you just awakened to your path. Others of us have been on this path for a really long time, and we're at various stages of our journey. And usually the waves, which there's 4 different waves, and I think I have a video on my channel about it, where the waves usually go through very specific things together. You know, maybe not at the exact same time, but there are a lot of the collective within that wave is going through something. And also, too, when you're obsessed with the masculine, you're waiting for a sign. You're waiting for, a sign, to know that this is connection is real, that, what you're believing and feeling is correct before you move forward. Because when the focus stays on the masculine instead of your own healing, you are self-abandoning. You are. And it's time for you to start devoting to yourself because one of the things that a lot of women struggle with is making themselves a priority, no longer abandoning themselves, no longer abandoning their goals, their desires for another person. So distraction number 2. This is trying to be perfect. in terms of your external reality. And I was so guilty of this for most of my path. And it's trying to be the most healed, right? And that can be a loop, right? Where you're constantly needing to heal, heal, heal in order to be able to receive something. It's you trying to look perfect on the outside. You know, you're working out super hard, trying to get your body perfect. Maybe your hair has to be perfect. Like you're getting all this work done on the external reality to like curate this perfect image of yourself, all the while not loving yourself. And instead focusing on the internal reality, loving yourself and accepting yourself exactly the way that you are right now is one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself. Fall back in love with yourself versus trying to fix the external reality, because chances are, if you're trying to fix your body's communicating things to you that you're just not listening to. The other thing too, when we try to perfect our external self, is for the feminine, trying to be more spiritually evolved than what they actually are. And it's dabbling in things that she understands just enough, but not deep enough to actually create the shifts in her reality. And on top of it too, the feminine oftentimes tries to create this perfect image of life. She's got this perfect life. She has a great job. She's doing all of this stuff, right? But is it coming from a place of, I'm trying to prove this to him? I'm trying to live my best life because he's out there doing it? Or is it coming from this a place of alignment of, this is what I would desire for myself? This is what I want to experience, fully knowing that every experience that you are having is leading you to yourself. Because inner union doesn't come from perfecting the outside. It doesn't come from perfecting the inside. It comes from embodiment, embodying the sacred feminine, embodying the sacred masculine, and allowing that inner union to happen within you. So distraction number 3 is jumping into another relationship. You find out that your twin flame chose someone else, right? They're in a relationship with someone else. So immediately you're like, oh my God, I'm going to start dating somebody else. If he can do this, then I can do this. Or if he's doing this, then I'm doing this. Feminines, it's time for you to start decentering, being in a relationship and decentering men. Having a relationship and having the attention of the masculine isn't necessarily the goal of the feminine. It's not. The feminine is vibrant and she's magnetic. Just by being her, she's influencing everyone around her. Her goal isn't to seek attention. Her goal isn't to seek validation. The validation that you're wanting from men or from your twin flame or being in a relationship is the exact work that you need to do. Because dating somebody else is just distracting you from your own pain, your pain of abandonment, your pain and fear of being alone. It's hiding you from all of that. And yes, a relationship can be very, very expansive if it's the right connection. But a lot of times what happens is when we haven't done the inner work, you're just recreating somebody else, just in a different body. Because some feminines are actually trying to replace the connection, right? And I know that you really, truly can't, but it's like, well, if I can't be with him, then I'm going to be with someone else. And this happens a lot because the feminine thinks, oh, I'm so far forward on my journey that my twin flame is. But the reality is you have to understand that both of you are ascending at the same time, just in different ways. Because the feminine rises in a different way than the masculine rises, because the feminine rises vertically, the masculine rises horizontally. And a lot of times, well, the feminine will be like, well, he's not doing his work. I'm sick of waiting for him. And by the way, you shouldn't be waiting. And she tries to replace her twin with another connection. When the reality is the planet, the collective, needs as many twin flames in union. And then two, when you're moving from relationship to relationship, you're avoiding that deep fear of being alone. And this sometimes is the hardest work for the feminine to do, is learning how to sit with herself, to connect to herself without collapsing, without, woe is me, he's doing this again to me. And to learn how to be there for herself through that structure. The fourth one is probably one of my favorites. And one of the things that I'm really, really good at, and it shows up in really sneaky ways, is spiritual bypassing. Also, this can look like false positivity, where everything is love and light, trying to say all these affirmations to create what it is that you desire. So this can look like constantly looking up tarot readings, endless tarot readings, chasing spiritual information, trying to, gather all this information, but not doing the work to create the changes. And by the way, the integration part is probably the part that the most of us don't understand how to do. And then also too, trying to manifest the masculine from a place of lack versus a place of wholeness. Because I truly believe you can manifest your twin flame back as long as you have done the required work in order for that manifestation to land. Because it's like any other manifestation in your life. If you have something that is really blocking you from actually having what it is that you desire, no amount of manifestation, no amount of affirmations, no amount of positive thinking is going to land that in your reality until you're actually embodying that. So in order to manifest union, what do you have to do? You have to embody inner union. And that's by creating this beautiful dynamic between your inner feminine and your inner masculine. Because spiritual bypassing, false positivity can actually keep you looping for a really long time, because knowledge actually starts to become another way of avoiding embodiment. And embodiment is exactly what the feminine needs to be. So let's talk about why this happens, because everything that I've talked about, I am very, very familiar with. I've experienced all of it and more, which is why I'm so passionate about talking about it, because I know how much those distractions have actually delayed my own growth. And I'm the only one to blame. I'm the only one to blame. I have been given so much time by God and the universe to step into who I am now. I was given 4.5 years basically, and I kind of dill-dallied around and didn't do the steps necessary because I didn't always have the tools, right? I didn't have the tools, and that's okay, because now I have the tools, and now I get to teach others those tools as well to help support them. So why this happens, why we distract ourselves, is because the feminine has a lot of deep fears within her. She fears abandonment. Many of us have been abandoned by our fathers. We have been abandoned by our mothers, right? And we have this deep fear of abandonment. And the reality is we have to heal that. For many of us, it comes in inherited ways as well. So for me, for example, abandonment was one of the very first things I knew I needed to heal within me, because it was something that I struggled with in every relationship. And this took me a really long time to unpack, because I had to learn how to no longer abandon myself. I had to heal the initial wound of abandonment from when I was 10, when my dad left. Right. And then not only that, I had to heal the abandonment at the soul level that I experienced time and time again with my twin flame and with other connections. And the part that kept me stuck for a really long time was I didn't realize that I had inherited abandonment as well, because we can inherit trapped emotions and we can inherit things from our lineage. And I had this fear of abandonment in me inherited from my lineage, 14 generations. Yes, 14 generations. And when I healed that, I knew things would shift and my twin was no longer doing certain things within our dynamic. Oftentimes, a feminine really struggles with this fear of being alone, this loneliness that drives her to constantly want to be in a relationship, constantly needing connection, because she's so afraid to connect with herself because of the shame, the guilt, the wounds that we carry. And oftentimes, too, the feminine fears her own depth. And when you fear your depth, you fear your power as well. And the depth that the feminine has is beautiful. It's what creates and cultivates beautiful connections with other feminines, with other people in her reality. Most people who know me in real life know that my circle is really small. Like, I know a lot of people, I have a lot of acquaintances that I've made connections with through places that I've worked at, been to, things like that. But my circle that I have is very small because of that depth that I want to bring to my relationships, that I want to bring to my community, which is also why some of my videos tend to be very long and have a lot of information, because I love that depth. And that is the thing that my clients love, is that I can bring them to that depth because I can hold them there. And I know how beautiful that feels as a feminine who had another feminine hold me in that way. And that's what activated that. And for me, wanting to have more of that. And also, too, the feminine often fears a transformation that this journey requires, because it's not surface level transformation. This is going in and regulating your nervous system, shifting your subconscious brain. It is shifting your identity. It's healing your inner masculine, your inner feminine, your mother, father wounds, right? Like basically everything. And by the way, by no means do you have to be completely healed in order to be in union. You don't. You have to just be able to cultivate that inner union within you and looking at those things that you have been running from your whole life. And once you know what those things are, those are the things that you should focus on and allow everything else to surface as need be. So if you have a fear of abandonment, that'd be one of the first things I would work on. If you struggle with abundance, I would work on that through, healing the part of you that experiences scarcity and lack, part of you that may be in poverty consciousness, all of that. Because the reality that a lot of the feminines need to realize, and I know some of you already do, is that this journey isn't meant to be uncomfortable. I often have conversations with one of my best friends who's on the path. She'd be like, Melissa, this journey is so hard. And I go, I know. I know. And it is, right? It's very challenging, which is why not everyone experiences a twin flame connection, because their soul's not ready for it, right? They're not ready to experience the depth of work that is required of us to do. And your soul is. Your soul knows what is capable of overcoming, what is capable of experiencing. It's just our mind that tells us otherwise. And when I'm on the phone with her, she'll be like, oh, it's bad enough that we had to awaken, right? Like awakening itself is challenging. It's peeling back all of those layers. And then to sprinkle the twin flame journey on top of it, oh, wow. It's a lot, right? And then you have to remember that everything that we experience in life is a new portal of expansion for us. And we have to start becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's how we start to evolve. Too many feminines are caught up in feeling comfortable, being like, oh, I want that, but I'm not willing to do this. And what is that thing that you're not willing to do that's going to make you a little bit uncomfortable? Because this journey calls the feminine to meet the parts of herself that she's spent a lifetime avoiding, and to do this all without collapsing. Because the real work for the feminine, this path is about the feminine rising within you, within your connection, and you becoming the feminine that you are meant to be in this lifetime. The feminine that you probably knew existed when you were a child. You've known that existed within you, but you haven't been able to access her. Because it's through this, through the journey, through self-devotion, through nervous system healing, by cultivating inner union within you, by emotional embodiment, by ending that self-abandonment and shifting your identity, all of those things, like that's the work that this journey is calling for you to do. And you get to do this with another human being that will show you every single aspect of you if you are willing. If you are willing, because the work that the feminine is here to do is not to fix the masculine, not to be the one that says you need to do this. It's about returning to herself. So I want to briefly talk about the mirror principle and how to decode this, because this is one powerful practice that you can do to help you understand what it is that your masculine is trying to show you. Because one of my teachers, I remember her telling us this one day in a training. She said to us, she said, whatever it is that you can see within your twin flame, whether your mind labels it good or bad, it's an opportunity for you to say, where am I doing the same? Or how do I do the same? And just sit with that part, because the masculine often distracts through action. The feminine distracts through emotion and projection. And both of these are actually avoiding the inner transformation that is required. So, for example, if your masculine is constantly working, he's hustling, he's pushing really hard to make money. And his belief is he has to work hard for money. It's an opportunity for you to say, where do I still do that? How do I still work really hard for my money? What part of me believes I need to sacrifice? Break my back, right? To create abundance. And the way that our twin flame mirrors us is by first they're mirroring us in terms of showing us parts of us that we can't see, right? As a whole being. The second way is that because they're the masculine within the connection, they're going to reflect back to you your own inner masculine, of what's possible for your own inner masculine, and where your inner masculine is out of alignment. And because you're the feminine in the connection, and the masculine is a masculine in the connection, your dynamic between the two of you is exactly what's happening between your own inner feminine and inner masculine. And once you can start doing that work and looking at it from that lens, that's when things really get to shift. However, there's a caveat, is not everything is meant to be a mirror. In the beginning, it's a mirror. And then if you've done the inner work and the growth around things, and the pattern is still happening, is because then you need to start taking action differently within your 3D reality. And so not everything is always a mirror. Sometimes it's calling you to do things differently. Because everything begins to shift for the feminine on this journey when she stops asking, why isn't this working? Why isn't he doing the work? And she starts asking, where am I still abandoning myself? Where am I still not choosing myself? Because this is where your power begins to return. This is where the deep healing really begins. And this is where your magnetism begins to increase and it starts to return. Because if the twin flame journey is truly about the path of awakening, then the question is never just about what the masculine is doing. The real question then becomes, where is life asking me to rise into the feminine, always meant to become? I want you to sit with that for a moment. And if this video is resonating with you, like it's speaking to your soul, it's pulling on things, it's giving you these aha moments, and you're beginning to see some of the ways that you have been distracting yourself from your own healing, your own path of ascension. And the most important thing that you can do is not to focus more on the masculine, is gently to bring your focus back home to yourself. Because a real transformation on the twin flame journey happens when the feminine begins to return to her own body, to her own healing, and to her own inner union. Many of you are trying to bypass inner union and trying to cultivate and create 3D union. And my friends, that's not going to happen. So if you're looking for a place to start, because perhaps you're new to the journey or what it is I'm talking about is really resonating with you, then I created a free guide to support you. It's designed specifically for the feminines who are on the twin flame journey, who are ready to begin turning their pain in and alchemizing it to deeper self-awareness, to deeper embodiment, and returning back to their personal power. You can download that free guide down in the link in my description box. It will help you begin to shift the focus away from chasing the answers of the connection, chasing this understanding of I need to know more about the connection, and turn it back towards you. And if you're wanting a deeper level of support on your journey, I'm opening up a new community that I'm really excited about in April. It's called Rise of the Feminine Twin Flame. And this space is created specifically for feminines who are in the twin flame journey. For those who are ready to step out of the cycle of confusion, step out of the obsession, step out of the emotional exhaustion, right? And don't even get me started on the physical exhaustion. And truly begin to rise into the feminine you are meant to be in this lifetime, then this is for you. Because we're going to dive into deeper teachings of the twin flame journey, deeper embodiment practices, healing support. And this is a space where you can walk side by side with other feminines who are on the path. And for me, I will tell you, having so many feminines in my actual life, like literally, like I feel like all my friends that I'm still friends with prior to my awakening are all twin flames, which isn't very many, it's like 3. And then many who I have met since my awakening, who are my friends, are also on the twin flame journey. And having that support and having that connection, I honestly couldn't be where I am today without it, because for once I felt understood. I felt seen and I felt heard by somebody who understood this journey, right? Because the twin flame journey was never meant to be just about union. It is about the awakening of the feminine within you, for you to rise into the feminine you are meant to be in this lifetime. Because when the feminine truly begins to rise, everything in your life will begin to change. And one last thing, if this video has supported you in any way, shape, or form, make sure you like and subscribe if you want to continue to receive teachings such as this one. And please let me know what resonated with you. What was an aha moment that you had? I love reading about comments and I love knowing what it was really resonating with you. And so, my friends, I'm sending you all so much love and light, and I'll see you in the next video.